If you think the hardest part of talking about American gun culture is the vocabulary, you're missing the real challenge. Welcome to Speak Like a Native. I'm Maya.
And I'm Leo. Let's get into it.
Today, we're decoding one of the most sensitive, complex topics in American life. And Leo, I'm going to guess your first question.
Probably, why is it so sensitive? I mean, in my country, it's a simple law issue. You can't own guns, end of story. But here, it's like a core part of identity for some people.
Exactly. And that's the first key insight. For many Americans, it's not just about a tool or a hobby, it's tied to deep foundational ideas about freedom, government power, and personal responsibility. So when you talk about guns, you're not just talking about objects, you're touching on someone's worldview.
That's intense. So if I'm at, say, a backyard barbecue with new American friends and this topic comes up, what's the number one mistake learners make?
Great question. The number one mistake is making a blanket statement, saying something like, I think guns are terrible, or everyone should have a gun. It assumes the room agrees with you. And in America, there is almost no room where everyone agrees on this.
So what should I say instead?
Instead of stating your opinion as a fact, you ask an open-ended, curious question. This shows respect and a desire to understand, not to judge. For example, you could say, I'm trying to understand the different perspectives on this. What's your take? Or, how is this issue viewed in your community?
Okay, what's your take? That sounds natural.
It is. Now, let's paint a real-life scenario. Imagine you're at that barbecue. Someone mentions a news story about a shooting. The mood gets quiet. Then your friend Mark, who you know hunts, sighs. Another friend, Sarah, who you know is from a big city, shakes her head. You want to understand, but you don't want to start a fight. What do?
I panic internally? No, I guess I use that question. It seems like such a complex issue. Mark, Sarah, what are your thoughts?
Perfect. You've just used a magic phrase. It seems like such a complex issue. Or, it seems like a very nuanced issue. The word nuanced is key here. It means it has many subtle layers. By saying that, you're acknowledging the complexity right away. You're not picking a side. You're creating a safe space for people to share, if they want to.
Nuanced. Nuanced. Got it. But what if they start arguing with each other? And I'm just stuck in the middle with my plate of potato salad.
That's a great image. This is where you need an exit strategy. You are never obligated to have an opinion, especially as a guest or a language learner. You can gracefully bow out. You can say, wow, I can see there's a lot to consider. I'm still learning about all the history here. Or simply, thanks for sharing your perspectives. It really helps me understand the context better.
That takes the pressure off. Just listen and learn.
Exactly. Now, here's the part that surprises most people. The core of the misunderstanding isn't really about safety or crime statistics for many English learners. It's about the definition of one word, right.
Right?
Yes. In American English and in the American legal tradition, gun ownership is often discussed as a right. That's a very specific, powerful word. It comes from the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
So it's like the right to free speech.
Conspectually, yes, in the minds of many Americans. It's placed in that same category. Now, for learners from many other countries, say China, Japan, the UK, Australia, what Americans call a right feels more like a privilege or a choice that the government allows. Do you see the difference in feeling?
Wow. Yes. A right is something inherent that can't be taken away easily. A privilege is something granted that can be changed. That's a huge cultural gap in thinking.
Massive. So when a learner from, say, a Spanish-speaking country where guns are heavily restricted says, why do you need that right? It can sound to an American like you're questioning a fundamental freedom, not just a law. It feels like you're saying, why do you need free speech?
I would never mean it that way.
Of course not. But that's how it can land. This is the cultural decoding. The language reflects a deep history of distrust of centralized government, a frontier mentality, and individual self-reliance. It's not just about hunting or sport.
So we need to be aware of the weight of the word Right.
Precisely. Now let's talk about a common language mistake. Many learners, when trying to sound academic, will use the phrase gun culture in a negative way. America has such a violent gun culture. Even if you believe that, using that phrase as an opener is very confrontational. Culture here implies it's in the blood, it's the essence of the people, it's a heavy accusation.
What's a more neutral alternative?
Talk about laws, policies, debates, or attitudes. For example, the gun laws here are so different from my country. Or, there seems to be a big debate about gun policy. This focuses on systems and opinions, not on judging the character of the people.
That's much safer. Laws and debates can change. Culture feels permanent.
Well said. Okay, Leo, I'm going to set up a scenario and I want you to respond. You're at work. Your coworker Dave has a picture of his family at a shooting range on his desk. You're curious, what's a good neutral way to ask about it?
I could say, "Oh, is that your family at a shooting range? I don't know much about that activity. Is it something you do often?"
Excellent. You led with an observation, not a judgment. I don't know much about that is a humble and disarming phrase, no pun intended. And you ended with an open question. That's perfect. Dave can then choose to tell you about it as a family hobby, or he can just say, yeah, sometimes, and move on. You've given him an easy out.
What if he does explain and then he asks me, "So what do you think about it?" The pressure's back on me.
Ah, the direct question. You can be honest but gentle. You could say, it's not really part of my background, so I don't have strong feelings. It's interesting to hear how it's a family activity for you. You're connecting it to his experience, not making a grand statement.
I can do that. It's not part of my background. That's true and polite.
Now, here's a mistake I hear often from learners, especially those who want to show they've done their homework. They might quote a statistic, but I read that 40% of Americans own guns, or the murder rate is higher here, even if the numbers are correct. Dropping statistics into a personal conversation can feel like an attack. It turns a chat into a debate.
So even facts need to be introduced carefully.
Yes, context is everything. If you're in a formal debate club, sure. At a friendly gathering, it often shuts down understanding. People get defensive about their team's numbers.
This is all about navigating feelings, not just words.
Bingo. And in a few minutes, Leo is going to make the exact mistake 90% of learners make when they try to summarize this topic. Stay with us.
No pressure.
Let's practice a key phrase for when you genuinely want to understand the other side, but you're confused. Say you're talking to someone who strongly supports gun rights. You've listened, but you're struggling. You could say, help me understand. From your perspective, what's the main thing someone like me, from a different culture, might be missing?
Help me understand. From your perspective, that's good. It puts them in the teacher role, not the defender role.
Exactly. It's collaborative. Now, the flip side, what if you're talking to someone who wants much stricter laws? You could ask, for people who want to keep their guns for what they see as legitimate reasons, what solution would you propose that addresses their concerns too?
That's a really smart question. It's looking for common ground, not victory.
That's the goal. The goal of this kind of conversation, especially for a language learner, is rarely to change minds. It's to build bridges of understanding. Your English level gives you a unique advantage here. You can honestly say, I'm still learning, and people will usually be more patient.
That's a relief. So I don't need to be an expert.
Absolutely not. Your role is the curious observer, and that is a very powerful, respectful position to be in. Okay, are you ready for the classic summary mistake?
I guess so. Hit me.
Imagine I just explained all this to you, and you say to me, okay, so I get it. It's a right, not a privilege. Some Americans love guns for freedom, and some hate them for safety. It's a big debate.
That sounds reasonable. What's wrong with it?
It's the phrasing some Americans love guns. That verb, love, is the problem. For most gun owners, it's not about love. That makes it sound like an emotional obsession. It's more accurate to say value gun ownership, see it as essential, or are strong supporters of gun rights. Love oversimplifies and subtly mocks. It's like saying Europeans love healthcare. They value the system. We chew it's not an emotional romance.
Oh, I see. Value is neutral. Love is loaded. That's a tiny word change with a huge difference.
That's the kind of nuance that makes you sound truly culturally aware. You're moving from black and white statements into the gray area where real people live.
This is honestly one of the most useful lessons we've done. It's less about grammar and more about social survival.
Haha, that's a great way to put it. And if you're finding this kind of cultural decoding helpful, make sure you're following Speak Like a Native. We drop new lessons like this every single day to help you navigate the real, messy, nuanced world of English.
So, our listener challenge for today. In the comments, try to describe a sensitive topic from your own culture using the neutral language we practiced. For example, instead of "my country is obsessed with," try "in my country" is often seen as a core part of our identity because
Perfect. And remember, today's single takeaway is this. When discussing deeply held beliefs, swap blanket statements for curious questions. Your goal is understanding, not winning.
Thanks, Maya. This was incredibly helpful.
Anytime, Leo. For everyone listening, keep practicing, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next episode.